So now on to the last assignment in unit number 2. It's on misleading graphs, and we're going to go over really 3 different types of misleading graphs you see all over the place: newspapers, online, everywhere you look. You'll see some forms of these misleading graphs. Let's just take a look at where we've been first. And so in the first assignment, we talked about qualitative and quantitative data. Okay, qualitative data, not numbers, quantitative data with numbers. We talked about how qualitative data in assignment number 2 is can be expressed with frequency distributions, relative frequencies, how we can display them with pie graphs and bar graphs, and then how quantitative data, which is both discrete and continuous, can be categorized 3 different ways: single value grouping, and then limit grouping, and then cut point grouping. How we can display them with histograms, dot plots, and stem and leaf plots. And then finally in assignment 2.4 we talked about distribution shapes based on modality, symmetry, and skewness, and how there's a correlation between samples versus population distributions, and how the bigger the sample, the more closely it looks like the population distribution. So now we're going to go on to what's in assignment number 5, which is on misleading tactics. And we're going to focus on 3 of them. There's probably more, but the 3 that we're going to focus on are, the first one is truncated graphs. So we want to know what truncated graphs are, and then improper scaling, which also includes different types of pictograms, and then 3D graphs. So truncated graphs, here we have 2 graphs that display the same information, unemployment rates. And so this must be January, February, March, so September, October, November, December. So over like a 7-month period, we have the unemployment rate. Looks like it's gone up and then down, and in the last 2 months it's gone down quite a bit. Same information over here. This is called a truncated graph on the left. It's a non-truncated graph on the right because it starts at 0. And so it's the same information, but man, it looks a lot like nothing's happening. It's all staying the same on the right. But on the left, it doesn't start at 0. It's truncated if it doesn't start at 0. There's space missing. And so the data looks more spread out. We're only going from 7 to 8. 7 to 8 really over here is this distance, and so we're taking that distance and really stretching it out so it looks like there's a bigger discrepancy in the months, especially February and March, than it was in maybe September, October, November. And so we would say that this graph here is misleading. It's not incorrect, it's not inaccurate, it's just misleading because it makes it look like there's a bigger discrepancy than there really is. So that's truncated graphs. There's also improper scaling. So improper scaling, a big one is where we have a picture of something. And so last year, this is the number of homes. This year will be double last year. So if you're looking to sell your house, here's the number of houses that sold last year. This year, if that number is going to double, we're looking at this graph. But what's misleading about this is that even though this is twice as wide and twice as tall, it's really 4 times as much area. Okay, so the area here matches this area here, but you can see that it's 4 times the area, not twice the area. And so this is called improper scaling. A lot of times this happens when you're drawing a picture to represent a certain number of houses sold or a certain number of anything. Here's an example that kind of displays this even more. Each one of these represents 50 of something. So every time people say what's their favorite kind of pet, a dog, cat, a horse, or other, every group of 50 gets a picture. And so, man, it looks like at first glance, it looks like horses are the most popular type of pet, but that's only 150 people. If you look at the cats doesn't look like at first there's a lot of people that pick cats, but if each one of these cats represents 150 people, that's 350 people. Over twice as many people pick cats over horses, but you wouldn't guess it by looking at this really quickly. Horses and the fish are the same. Dogs are the second favorite, most favorite type of pet, and then according to this, it would be cats. So, and that's just a misleading graph because of the pictures that are there. And then the third type is 3D graphs. And so here we have 1997 value in this graph. It looks like number of singles sold. Looks like in 1995 was by far the biggest, the most number of singles sold. But if you look at this closely, 1997 was more. Because if this line here extended, okay, it would probably be bigger than 1995. But 1995 is closer to you, so because it's closer to you, they draw it bigger. Not only that, you get to see all the side area over here. And so if somebody's kind of looking at this really quickly, most people would say, wow, look at all the stuff in 1995. I wish there would be that many singles sold in 1997. And in fact, there were more. And again, this is not, the misleading graphs are not inaccurate graphs. They're just meant to be misleading for people who look at information quickly, which is one of the problems that I think we have in our world today. Everything's just too quick, and people don't sit down and try to evaluate it in a detailed look. So those are three types of misleading graphs. We also have just some questions that you can kind of think about as we get ready for our test. We have a homework assignment on assignment number 5 in Math Excel, and we'll continue to get ready for our checkpoint A in class tomorrow. We'll talk to you tomorrow.